Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtiprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistike. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 8. Dhruv Maharaj leaves home for the forest, text number 18 onwards. Satyam Suruchya Vihitam Bhavan Me Yad Durbhagaya Udre Grihita Stanyen Vridhascha Vilajjate Yam Bharyati Va Bodum Idas Patirmam. Suniti said, "My dear boy, whatever has been spoken by Suruchi is so, because the king, your father, does not consider me his wife or even his maidservant. He feels ashamed to accept me. Therefore, it's a fact that you have taken birth from the womb of an unfortunate woman, and by being fed from her breast, you have grown up." So Suniti, we know, so what happened yesterday was Dhruv Maharaj was not let by his stepmother Suruchi to get on the lap of his father. And she told him, if you are not qualified, if you want to be qualified, you go pray to Supreme Lord, do some worship, do some austerities. And then when he is pleased, you leave your body, then you take birth from my womb, and then you will be eligible. So it was too much for Dhruv Maharaj to take. He's a Kshatriya, although he was only 5 years old boy. So he came to his mother Suniti crying, and it is said he was crying as if like he was beaten up by, like a snake is beaten up by a stick. The snake becomes very angry. And now Suniti is also lamenting that my husband does not consider me as his wife or even his maidservant because he's so much attracted towards Suruchi. So she further says, Atishta tattat vimatsarastvam uktam samatrapi yadvelikam aradhyaya adhokshaja pad padmam yadichase dhyat sannam uttamo yatha. My dear boy, whatever has been spoken by Suruchi, your stepmother, although very harsh to hear, is factual. Therefore, if you desire at all to sit on the same throne as your stepbrother Uttam, then give up your envious attitude and immediately try to execute the instructions of your stepmother. Without further delay, you must engage yourself in worshipping the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's why she is Suniti. Suniti means very noble lady. So she is saying, just like when we try to make progress in bhakti, or somehow we get introduced to bhakti, so that person who somehow or other introduced us, sometimes it could be anybody. It could be a real Paramhans Vaishnava, just like Narad Muni acts many times for many devotees. But it could be just like I remember in San Francisco, some devotees were telling about their experience. He said that he was not at all inclined towards Krishna consciousness, not even God consciousness. So he went to a bar. So people regularly go to bar here. So he was drinking, and there were a couple of other guys drinking, and then they just ended up talking to each other. This person said, well, I'm going through a rough patch of my life, going through a very difficult time. So those two guys, they just said, okay, there's a temple down the street. It's a Hare Krishna temple, and they chant and dance. We have seen them. Why don't you try that place out? And this person, okay, yeah, I'll see that. And once he ended up there in the temple. But then he liked it so much. he ended up joining the temple and he became, I don't remember which devotee it was. He was Prabhupada disciple. And he took initiation from Prabhupada. Although he never went back to find out from those guys in the bar that why are you drinking here? Why don't you come to the temple? But those guys at the bar, they acted as Path Pradarshak Guru, one who shows the path to Krishna consciousness. Obviously, they'll also get lots of sukriti by helping somebody becoming a devotee. So it could be any person in the world. It just, we have to take the words coming out from that person's mouth with the right frame of mind. And if we cannot, and if somebody else helps us to take the words with the right frame of mind, that can really turn our life around. Just like Bilmangal Thakur, in his previous life, he was a great devotee, but somehow he could not take it further. So he had to take another birth, and his guru also, either he took, someplace it says took birth, or someplace he sent somebody as a prostitute. So Bilmangal Thakur, although he was married, one very wonderful person, nice, learned person, but somehow he got attracted to this prostitute. Somehow her name is right at the tip of my tongue, but it's not just coming out somehow. Anyway, I'll see if I can remember. So Bilmangal Thakur used to go to see this prostitute all the time. And it so happened one day his father died, and in the evening he just had so much of craving to go see this prostitute. And it was raining, he had to cross a river, and there were no boats. So he just jumped into the river, and he found a dead body floating, and he just floated on the dead body. And he came to the house of this prostitute. She and other girls, they were inside because it was raining, they had closed all the doors. So there was a boundary wall, he had to climb the boundary wall. He saw a rope hanging, and he just grabbed onto the rope and jumped up over the boundary wall. Later they found it was not a rope, it was a snake. So anyway, he jumped over, and then there were some bushes, and all this, like he injured himself, it was raining, and he knocked at the door, and the prostitute opened the door. And she looked at him. Of course, she nursed him, and she said, if with this kind of determination, if you had approached Krishna, you would have really gotten so much ahead. I mean, he would have really come to you. And you, with this, and you had come to me, just a person with some material body made of flesh and bones and urine and pus and this and that. What is it that you're going to find here? So those words opened the eyes of Bilmangal Thakur. And he just left everything. He went to Vrindavan. Similarly, Kalidas, either Kalidas or Tulsidas. His wife had gone to her parents' house, and he was missing her so much. He went, after a few days, he went to that place, and he just didn't know which way to go somehow. And somebody told him, okay, my cows are from that village, so you just hang on to the tail of my cows and they will go to that village, they'll go home. And Tulsidas just grabbed onto the tail, and the cows started running, and they dragged him. They dragged Tulsidas all the way to the village. I hope I'm remembering it right, it was Tulsidas only. And when he reached that place, So his wife's brothers, they thought, it was in the middle of the night when he reached, and they thought some thief has come, and they started beating him up. And then he said, no, 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 I'm Tulsidas. And then they apologized, and his wife, they just took him to his wife's room. And the wife was surprised. She said, what is there in this body of mine that is so attractive that you came all the way? Look at your situation. If you had just worshipped Lord Ram with this kind of bhakti, you would have really reached him, attained him. And then Tulsidas understood his mistake. And then he started worshipping Lord Ram. So anyway, point is, some words from somebody. Of course, that situation will generally comes when everything is against us. We think it's against us. But it's the nature or the universe is creating the opportunity for us to take shelter. This is real opportunity. It just we have to find, or if we have the right desire, Krishna will make the right person come in our life to guide us at that time, at that right moment, opportune moment. And then we can really make progress. It just, we have to have the open mind to take the instructions. So Mother Suniti is saying, give up your envious attitude. Somebody might say, Dhruv Maharaj, 5-year-old boy, what kind of envious attitude you might have? Well, his only envious attitude was he wanted the throne. What Uttam, his brother, had, he wanted. He was envious of his brother's position. So Mother Suniti said, so without further delay, you must engage yourself in worshipping the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the right approach. If there was some envious person in place of Mother Suniti, she would have said, okay, let's plan how we can kill your father and how we can kill Uttam and you can sit on the throne just like Kaikeyi and Manthara did. But of course, in that case, in that pastime of Lord Ram wanted to leave the place. And it is said that demigods made the arrangement with Manthara. So Manthara would give this kind of knowledge or this kind of I don't want to say knowledge, but she gave her the wrong advice of sending Ram to the forest and making Bharat the next king of Ayodhya. Because the demigods thought if Lord Ram remains in Ayodhya, who's going to go out and kill all these Rakshasas, especially Ravan and Kumbhakara? They have really made her life a mess. And Ram also wanted to leave because he knew he had a special purpose to fulfill in this incarnation. So anyway, the whole pastime was arranged through Manthara and Kaikeyi. And till today, Kaikeyi gets a bad reputation for sending Ram to Vanvas for 14 years. But actually Ram was very thankful to Kaikeyi for this service. Of course, he is always respectful to all the mothers, but he was especially thankful to Kaikeyi. That's why when he came back, first person after meeting Bharat, when he came to Ayodhya, first person he went to see was Mother Kaikeyi. So anyway, more details, but the point here is anything so-called negative, so-called, that's why it's so-called, because not really negative, happens in our life, That's really a signal from the Supreme God to take shelter of His lotus feet. That's why I try to keep the picture of lotus feet of Lord Jagannath in my background today. So that really, actually, it's an arrangement. We just have to be able to see it. So this is what Mother Suniti is saying. Just go ahead and engage yourself in worshipping the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and He will make all the arrangements for whatever you want. The harsh words used by Suruchi to her stepson were true, because unless one is favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot achieve any success in life. Man proposes, God disposes. Suniti, the mother of Dhruv Maharaj, agreed with her co-wife's advice that Dhruv engaged himself in the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Indirectly, the words of Suruchi were a benediction for Dhruv Maharaj, for because of the influence of his stepmother's words, he became a great devotee. So the words can come in either way and from any direction. It could be harsh words, and it could be very nice words, encouraging words, motivating words, inspiring words. It just, we have to see how it helps us in bhakti. So Prabhupada writes that without being favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot achieve any success in life. Which is true, of course. Without Krishna's mercy, our effort is there, but our effort is not alone. Mercy of Krishna has to be there. We have to understand this point. In any point of life, or at any place, or at every place, we need His mercy to be successful. Even materially, we cannot be successful without His mercy. Now, people will say, okay, what devotion service Bill Gates has performed, or Warren Buffett, or Bezos, or Mark Zuckerman, they're not at all devotees. They're doing all sorts of sins, eating meat, drinking, and this and that. But rest assured, they must have done plenty of pious activities or bhakti in their previous lives, for which they're reaping the benefits now. It is for sure they have done it. Maybe they did it for Krishna, maybe they did it like Christians do it, maybe they did like Muslims do. I don't know. They all must have done wonderful, wonderful, wonderful activities in the previous lives. Pious activities or yogic performances, whichever yoga, bhakti yoga, art yoga, whichever yoga, they have done it. Of course, now if they have the money, so they're doing plenty of charity, but at the same time, plenty of sinful actions, so they will get the reactions for everything. So to make any progress in any path of life, whether material, spiritual, or combination, we have to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The result will not come when we want. It's not that I have done the worship, I have done the puja, yajna, everything that was told to me by the pujaris, and tomorrow I should get the result. The results are in His hands. Karmanni vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phal hetu ma te sangvastva karma. Only the karma is in our hands. Results, when, how, where, how much, that's all in His hands, not in our hands. Yasyangri padmam paricharya vishva vibhavanayat gun abhipatte ajo adhyat tishthat khalu parameshthim padam jitatmashva sanabhivandyam Suniti continued, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so great that simply by worshipping his lotus feet, your great-grandfather, Lord Brahma, acquired the necessary qualifications to create this universe. So this we have studied earlier, how Brahmaji got the qualifications to create the universe. He had to do the tapasya, he had to worship or satisfy the Supreme Lord. And when he was eligible, qualified, then Krishna gave him the knowledge how to create the universe. Although he is unborn and is a chief of all living creatures, he is situated in that exalted post because of the mercy of the Supreme Personality of God, whom even great yogis worship by controlling the mind and regulating the life here. Suniti cited the example of Lord Brahma, who was Dhruv Maharaj's great-grandfather. Although Lord Brahma is also a living being, by his penance and austerity, he acquired the exalted position of creator of this universe by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. See, although Lord Brahma is also a living being, by his penance and austerity, he performed so much of austerity, so much of penance, and he got the mercy of the Supreme Lord, by which he got the exalted position of being the creator. So not just his penance or austerity alone, he needed the mercy of the Lord. To become successful in any attempt, one not only has to undergo severe penances and austerities, but also must be dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This indication has been given to Dhruv Maharaj by his stepmother and was now confirmed by his own mother, Suniti. So to become successful in any attempt, one not only has to undergo severe penances and austerities, but also must be dependent on the mercy of Krishna. So not just being dependent, one has to be grateful also for the mercy of the Lord. Grateful in the sense one has to understand that it is only by his mercy he is giving us this success. Otherwise our austerities are not, the penances, austerity, whatever the sacrifices we are performing are not enough. We haven't done enough. So to understand our current position also, whether spiritually or materially, we can see we have been given plenty by the Supreme Lord. If we consider our position, everybody, whether our health is good, we have good bank balance, a nice roof on our head, and food in the fridge is there. So this is all mercy of the Lord. So we got to be grateful to Him. Of course, what we do is we want more and more and more and more. Greed is always there. Now, by mercy of Krishna, I have a 2-bedroom house. Now I need a 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom or 5-bedroom or a mansion. Oh Krishna, I cannot live in this 2-bedroom house. We have to see the mercy of Krishna by seeing how many people, percentage-wise, how many people in the world have 2-bedroom house. Nothing wrong with aspiring more, but at the same time, we got to be grateful towards Krishna, whatever He has given us. So many people are struggling in the hospitals, suffering, coronavirus or other kinds of diseases. Krishna's mercy, we are okay. We are at our home. Okay, some issues are there with the body, fine, but not that bad, not threatening. So many people don't even have money in their accounts, money at their home. They cannot have food on the tables. They don't even have a table, most of them. Krishna's mercy, we got it all. We should be grateful to him every single moment of the day. Then we can, if we look at devotionally, we can chant his name. We can do so many services, and he's allowing us. We should be grateful. And those who are grateful, and gratefulness cannot come without a humble heart, they are the ones who make progress. Actually, gratitude should be our nature. Not, we like to say gratitude is the attitude. That should be the attitude. But not just the attitude, this should be our nature. Krishna, whatever you have given me, it's plenty. It's your causeless mercy only you have given me. I'm not qualified. And that should come from our heart. These prayers should come up from our heart. Not just like lip service. Those students who do well in college or don't do well in school, whatever, they should be grateful to Krishna. And if they want to be more successful, they should worship Krishna. Any field of our life, we should be. Tatha manurvo bhagwan pitamaho yamekamatya purudakshina makhe Ishtvabhipete durva pamanyato bhaumam sukham divyamatha pavargyam. Suniti informed her son, your grandfather Swayambhuva Manu executed great sacrifices with distribution of charity, and thereby with unflinching faith and devotion, he worshipped and satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By acting in that way, he achieved a great success in material happiness and afterwards achieved liberation, which is impossible to obtain by worshipping the demigods. So she is now telling Dhruv Maharaj that even Swayambhuva Manu had performed great sacrifices and charity and austerities. The success of one's life is measured by one's material happiness in this life and liberation in the next. Such success can be achieved only by the grace of the Supreme Personality of God. The words Ekamatya means concentrating on one's mind on the Lord without deviation. This process of undeviating worship of the Supreme Lord is also expressed in Bhagavad Gita as Ananya Bhak. That which is impossible to obtain from any other source is also mentioned. Other source refers to the worship of the demigods. It is especially stressed here that the opulence of Manu was due to his undeviating faithfulness in the transcendental service of the Lord. One who diverts his mind to worshipping many demigods to obtain material happiness is considered bereft of intelligence. If anyone wants even material happiness, he can worship the Supreme Lord without deviation. And persons who are desirous of liberation can also worship the Supreme Lord and achieve their goal of life. So this is what in second canto there was a verse. Akama sarva kama va moksha kama udarati. Yurena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham. So moksha kama udaradhi. Udaradhi means those who are intelligent, those who are really intelligent. If they have full of desires, no desires or desire for liberation, full of desires means full of material desires, then they all should worship the Supreme Lord. So those who are intelligent, they worship the Supreme Lord, even if they have plenty of material desires. Still, they should not worship the demigods. So even Mother Suniti is telling that, yes, Suruchi said the right things, Swayambhuva Manu also did the same thing, your grandfather, so you should also do the same. So you should go and perform austerities to please the Supreme Lord. Tame vatsashraya bhritya vatsalam mukshubhir mritya padamchi padhitim ananya bhavene vidharma bhavite manasya vasthapya bhajasva purusham. My dear boy, you should also take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very kind to his devotees. Persons seeking liberation from the cycle of birth and death always take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord in devotional service. Becoming purified by executing your allotted occupation, just situate the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your heart and without deviating for a moment engage always in his service. The system of Bhakti Yoga described by Queen Suniti to her son is a standard way of God realization. Everyone can continue in his constitutional occupational duties and at the same time keep the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart. So system of Bhakti Yoga is this. Everyone can continue in his constitutional occupational duties. Means whatever services, whether it's a job or a business, taking care of the family, household, whatsoever he is doing, at the same time keep the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart. So that is the right way of performing Bhakti Yoga. So sometimes devotees say that Prabhuji, then who's going to become brahmachari and who's going to leave the house and preach and this and that. Well, there are some people, some devotees are inclined to become brahmacharis. So they can become. There's no stopping. But if you are not, that doesn't mean one cannot make progress in bhakti. It doesn't say anywhere that only brahmacharis will go to the spiritual world. It's yes, they have good chance of making good austerities, they can engage more in devotional service, brahmacharis or sannyasis, but even grihasthas, they have equal opportunity. Krishna's abode or Krishna's program is just like here in America, it's called EEO. Every business, every job, every department has EEO, equal employment opportunity, no discrimination. So for Krishna, it's not equal employment, it's equal enlightenment opportunity he gives for everybody. So Grihasthas also. Dhruva Maharaj never took sannyas. He did his tapasya, he pleased the Supreme Lord, and then he came back to rule over the world. For 30,000 years he ruled. And he remained a devotee. This is what Suniti is saying. So we can continue and at the same time keep the Supreme Personality of Godhead with one's heart. This was also instructed by the Lord himself to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. Go on fighting, but keep me within your mind. That should be the motto of every honest person seeking perfection in Krishna consciousness. In this connection, Queen Suniti advised her son that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Bhritya Vatsala. So we had heard of Bhakta Vatsala, now it's Bhritya Vatsala. Bhritya means, which indicates that he is very kind to his devotees. But Bhritya also means servant. Of course, devotees say we are servant of Krishna, so it's the same thing. So he is very kind to his devotees or to his servants. She said, you came to me crying, having been insulted by your stepmother, but I am unable to do any good for you. But Krishna is so kind to his devotees that if you go to him, then the combined kindness of millions of mothers like me will be surpassed by his affectionate and tender dealings. This is Prabhupada's writing. So we all, whenever we have problem, still, one person we all run to, our mothers. Even though they might not be able to physically take care of the problem, but just the words of encouragement or some loving words from a mother, that just motivates or inspires one to do better. But Prabhupada is saying, if you go to him, if you go to Krishna, then the combined kindness of millions of mothers like me will be surpassed by his affectionate and tender feelings. Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, I'm the mother and I'm the father of this whole universe. When everyone else fails to mitigate one's misery, Krishna is able to help the devotee. Queen Kunti also stressed that the process of approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not easy, but is sought after by great sages who are very advanced in spiritual realization. Yes, it's not easy. It's not the same. It's not approachable as much as our real mothers are. So that is why some people say mother's position in the world is same as of God. Which sentiments-wise, yes, it's okay. The kind of love she can give, nobody else can. But here Prabhupada is saying, and Queen Kunti is also, Queen Suniti is saying the same thing, that Krishna, his affection is like millions of mothers. But to approach him is not easy. Queen Suniti also indicated by her instruction that Dhruv Maharaj was only a small child, 5 years old, and it was not possible for him to purify himself by the way of Karmakanda. But by the process of Bhakti Yoga, even a child less than 5 years old or anyone of any age can be purified. That is the special significance of Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, she advised him not to accept worship of the demigods or any other process, but simply to take this to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the result would be all perfection. As soon as one places the Supreme Personality of Godhead within one's heart, everything becomes easy and successful. So it's just approaching Supreme Personality of Godhead is not easy because one has to qualify himself, purify himself. The process of Bhakti Yoga is easy or sublime. It's not that easy also, but it's very sublime and very powerful that even a child less than 5 years old can perform. Other processes like Karmakanda and other processes, not everybody can perform. So Dhruv Maharaj was asked to perform Bhakti Yoga, please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, get eligible, and then ask for whatever benedictions. Nanyam tatha padma panashalochana dukkhachitam te mrigyami kanchan yo mrigyate hastagrihi padmya shriyet taranga vimrigyamaya shriyet tarar ang vimringlamaya. My dear Dhruva, as far as I am concerned, I do not find anyone who can mitigate your distress but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose eyes are like lotus petals. Many demigods such as Lord Brahma seek the pleasure of the goddess of fortune, but the goddess of fortune herself, with the lotus flower in her hand, is always ready to render service to the Supreme Lord. So Mother Suniti is saying, I do not find anyone who can mitigate your distress, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose eyes are like lotus petals. So with that lotus eyes, if the Supreme Lord will look at you, definitely your distress will be gone. And anything you're feeling burning in your heart, it will be completely calmed down. Suniti pointed out herewith that the benediction received from the Supreme Personality of Godhead and that received from the demigods are not on an equal level. Foolish persons say that no matter whom one worships, one will get the same result. But factually, it's not a fact. In Bhagavad Gita, it is also said that benedictions received from the demigods are all temporary and are meant for the less intelligent. In other words, because the demigods are all materialistically conditioned souls, although they are situated in very exalted positions, their benedictions cannot be permanent. So, demigods are all materialistically conditioned souls, although they are situated in very exalted positions, but they are still materially conditioned souls. Permanent benediction is spiritual benediction. Since a spiritual soul is eternal, it's also said in Bhagavad Gita that only persons who have lost their intelligence go to worship the demigods. Therefore, Suniti told her son that he should not seek the mercy of the demigods, but should directly approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead to mitigate his misery. So very important that no matter what happens, we go to the Supreme Lord only. Material opulences are controlled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead through his different potencies, and specifically the Goddess of Fortune. Therefore, those who are after material opulences seek the pleasure or mercy of the Goddess of Fortune. Even the highly placed demigods worship the Goddess of Fortune. But the Goddess of Fortune, Mahalakshmi herself, is always seeking the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anyone therefore who takes to the worship of the Supreme Lord automatically receives the blessings of the Goddess of Fortune. At this stage of life, Dhruv Maharaj was seeking material opulences, and his mother advised rightly that even for material opulences, it's better to worship not the demigods, but the Supreme Lord. So see, the mother did not say, oh, you calm down, or we'll take revenge, or this or that. She's directly telling Dhruv Maharaj to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Not of any demigods, not even of Goddess of Fortune. Just go straight to Krishna or Vishnu. Although a pure devotee does not seek benedictions from the Supreme Lord for material advancement, it is stated in Bhagavad Gita that pious persons go to the Lord even for material benedictions. A person who goes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead for material gain is gradually purified in association with the Supreme Lord. So he gets gradually purified, means his heart gets purified of any material desires. Thus he becomes free from all material desires and is elevated to the platform of spiritual life. Unless one is raised to the spiritual platform, it is not possible for him to completely transcend all material contamination. So Suniti, the mother of Dhruva, was a far-seeing woman, and therefore she advised her son to worship the Supreme Lord and no one else. The Lord is described herein as lotus-eyed, Padma Palasha Lochana. When a person is fatigued, if he sees a lotus flower, all his fatigue can be immediately reduced to nil. Similarly, when an aggrieved person sees the lotus face of the Supreme Personality of God, immediately all his grief is reduced. A lotus flower is also an insignia in the hand of Lord Vishnu, as well as in the hands of the Goddess of Fortune. The worshippers of the Goddess of Fortune and Lord Vishnu together are certainly very opulent in all respects, even in material life. The Lord is sometimes described as Shiva Virinchi Nutam, which means that Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma also offer their respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan. So lotus flower, his eyes were compared to lotus flower because if somebody is in distress, Prabhupada says, if a person is fatigued, if he sees a lotus flower, all his fatigue can immediately be reduced to nil. So similarly, a person who is in distress, if he sees a lotus flower, lotus eyes, lotus feet of Krishna, lotus face of Krishna, immediately all his grief is reduced. Because it's so sweet, so um, sweet and beautiful to look at. The person forgets all his miseries. So Suniti, Mother Suniti is directing her son the right way, and not in any shortcut way or anything. She's directing her son to the right way. So Mother Suruchi acted like Path Pradaksha Guru. Suniti is acting as a Shiksha Guru for Dhruv Maharaj. And then Narad Muni will come when he starts going to the forest. On the way to the forest, Narad Muni comes, meets him. Then he gives him the mantra. So Narad Muni acted like a Diksha Guru. So he got all the three gurus. And basically, they all told him to go worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they all acted as bona fide gurus that way. And the result was wonderful. So anyway, we'll stop here, see anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, in this whole story, like the way Suruchi has behaved with 5-year-old kid was really shocking, because a 5-year-old kid, what he knows, he doesn't know anything. And the harsh word for, I mean, this is the extent of, the harshness, I would say, like to somebody, like a small kid, what he knows about it. Nothing at all. So
Yeah, things happen. Things happen. And that is why the story is in Bhagavatam, because look at the character of Dhruv Maharaj and Mother Suniti. That's why it's in Bhagavatam.
So if someone is humble, and because I have also watched this in Vishnu Puran a while ago, I think a month back, this episode was there. And if somebody is little humble or little sensitive on these things, he might feel very, emotional about it. Because Tanpad, one kid, he is showing his favor, another kid is not showing favor. It's clearly mentioned because he liked the second wife more, and because of her fear, he didn't do that. He didn't favor, though he has favor for both the kids, but he never put him on his lap because of the second wife, Suruchi. And on top of that, in front of him, Suruchi has used all harsh word, and then the extent was so high when she said that, you're supposed to take again a birth from the womb, and from my womb, and then you can think of it to become, the,
Yeah, but in cases like this, it has all Krishna's signature written all over it. Suppose Mother Suruchi had just let Dhruva play on the lap of his father. Would he be in Bhagavatam? Would the story be in Bhagavatam? No, nothing extraordinary happened. So he just played, fine. And when he grew up, he became the king because he was the elder son. So what's so special about it? But because Suruchi acted in this way, and Mother Suniti is also guiding him the right way, that's what Dhruv Maharaj is, what Dhruv Maharaj is.
absolutely.
So without going through this tapasya, even or being purified by fire, even the gold doesn't become kundan. So when we are going through some tapasya, some austerity, some challenges in our life, something everybody is going through, but all we have to do is remember being grateful to the Lord And then Lord is trying to do something through us. That's all.
Prabhuji,
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Yes, Mata.
Somebody else was also saying something. कोई बीच में.
आप माता जी बोल दीजिए. After that,
Please, Prabhuji. Please go ahead. Please go
Prabhuji, I
ahead.
had a question that we pray to dummy gods, but there's a point that we have Brahman within us. So why don't we put our all efforts in, knowing ourselves within us, rather than going to temples and worshipping dummy gods?
Well, in this lockdown, it is better to go inside than to go outside anyway. See, temples are there for our easy approach. So we need to have some personal contact with the Lord. So, of course, demigods, we do respect them, but we should not be worshipping them. That's a different story. But if you go to the temple of Radha Krishna or ISKCON temple, the temples are there. So we can have some personal relationship. We can talk to the Lord. It's just, if we try to just go inside, we might not be that advanced or that elevated that we can really talk to the Lord inside. So that's why temples are there. And moreover, temples are there because then devotees are there who can teach us the proper way how to approach, and we can get inspiration from devotees to how to perform devotional service properly. So temples are there as actually as educational centers to for us how to make progress properly. Otherwise, we can make mistakes.
Right, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Yes, Archana Mata?
Prabhuji, what I was realizing it कि ऐसे तो normally we all have heard Dhruv Maharaj story and all. While reading this chapter, going through each and every shloka and reading the purport of Prabhuji's, Prabhuji, what I'm realizing is that the small things are so clear that we never used to think about it. एक incidence हुआ, बच्चे को उन्होंने गोदी में नहीं बिठाया, ठीक है, नहीं बिठाया, and we what as a materialistic person we always think, नहीं, this is very bad, he should have done it. But the purpose behind it and the enviousness जो सुरुचि माँ उसको कोशिश कर रही है, and Suniti is teaching him कि नहीं, इसको ऐसे नहीं लेना है, ऐसे लेना है. I think मेरे को तो कभी भी समझ में नहीं आती ये सब बातें unless until we are reading this, and between the lines the message is very clear.
Yep. That's true.
Watching a serial or reading a normal story, unless until जैसे अब आप and Prabhupada ने पूरा clearly एक चीज को clear किया हुआ है. This is really great. Yesterday I'm just reading this, Dhruv Maharaj की story जब से शुरू हुआ है, I was just reading कि नहीं, normal story and this reading this way the story is बहुत difference है, बहुत ज़्यादा. And as a mother, यहाँ सारा role mother का है, Prabhuji.
Yeah, that is true.
तो मतलब मेरे को तो खुद को भी रियलाइज हो रहा है कि in the family also, जैसे sister in laws के बच्चे हैं और हमारे बच्चे हैं, when they used to fight and what we used to always take up, हम अपने बच्चों की साइड ज्यादातर लेते हैं कि नहीं हमारे बच्चे को कुछ नहीं होना चाहिए, and other person used to think as a mother कि नहीं हमारे बच्चे को कुछ नहीं होना चाहिए, and बड़े लोग जो है वो लड़ रहे हैं इस चक्कर में कि बच्चे तो फिर भी एक हो जाते हैं लड़ने के बाद, लेकिन जो हम लोगों के बीच में एनवियसनेस आ जाती है, बड़ों के बीच में रिलेशनशिप्स खराब होते हैं. इट्स अ वेरी गुड, सबको पढ़ना चाहिए मेरे हिसाब से. ऑल द मदर्स शुड रीड हाउ दे शुड ट्रीट देयर इन द फैमिली. एक ही फैमिली में अगर दो ब्रदर्स रहते हैं और इकट्ठे जॉइंट फैमिलीज में है, कैसे बच्चों को ट्रीट करना चाहिए एक दूसरे के लिए, हाउ वी शुड टेक इट, इट्स लाइक नो एनवियस. और एनवियसनेस तो सबसे पहले आती है, अच्छा मेरे बच्चे को कुछ कह दिया, we should not, ऐसा कैसे बोल दिया,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And I'm just taking it a very practical way. I'm just thinking since yesterday, I'm just applying it in this thing अपनी life में कि कैसे how we treat our children and how they both the mothers are treating their, कैसे उनको एक राहत मिल रही है और कहाँ वो पहुंचेगा बच्चा. It's really amazing, Prabhuji.
Yeah, yeah. So mother plays a big part
Big part.
in the upbringing of the child.
Yes.
Big part.
And what is
She's the
also
first guru. She's the first guru of the child.
कैसे सुनीति उसको अच्छे से समझा रही है. शायद मैं हूँ उसकी जगह पे तो वो मतलब I was just thinking कि मैं क्या करती अगर मैं होती उसकी जगह पे तो.
हम तो लड़ झगड़ के आए थे.
This is what I'm realizing it कि हम लोग क्या करते अगर हम लोग होते उस जगह पे तो क्या करते अब. मेरा बेटा है या मेरा बेटा है
और किसी का तो पता नहीं. महाराज उत्तान पात की हालत जरूर खराब हो जाती.
आज के परिप्रेक्ष्य में ये चीजें बिल्कुल जैसे कहते हैं ना एकदम फिट बैठती हैं. हर फैमिली में ये प्रॉब्लम है.
But Prabhuji, one thing is amazing, na, even Mother Suruchi, despite kind of being envy to that child, to Dhruv Maharaj, she still mentioned Bhagwanji's name, Supreme Personality's name, stating कि आप उनकी worship करो. In fact, see, what I'm trying to say is हम लोग तो आजकल हम भी गुस्सा हो जाते हैं, बहुत बार कंट्रोल नहीं कर पाते हैं. But I think if in that gussa, rather than kind of abusing anybody, if we can put in words like this, सबकी लाइफ चेंज हो जाएगी. यहाँ पे सुरुचि rather than saying anything else, said मतलब
सुरुचि ने ये तो कहा, बाद में ये भी कहा कि leave your body, then take the birth from my womb, and then you will be alive.
But despite all this,
that was too much actually, but that's what triggered the whole thing.
And another thing, Prabhuji, इतना heavy सुनने के बाद भी Suniti was not at all, giving advice to Dhruv Maharaj जी को कि नहीं आप जाके, you should reply back or something like that. And हम लोग तो छोटी सी बात पे we get so this thing some blast हो जाता है.
Yep. तभी तो भागवतम पढ़नी चाहिए डेली.
Even Prabhuji, like we always go to demigods to have quick solutions and not to surrender to the Krishna. We have this tendency to find the quick solutions. कि ये पूजा कर लेते हैं, ये ग्रह की पूजा कर लेते हैं तो शायद फादर से क्लोजनेस बढ़ जाए. शायद आजकल हमें ये एडवाइस मिलती है अगर किसी एस्ट्रोलॉजर के पास जाते हैं, पंडित के पास है, बट nobody will advise कि लॉर्ड कृष्णा की सीधा पास चले जाओ सारे सॉल्यूशन हो जाएंगे.
नहीं वो कोई नहीं बताता. वो तो शनि खराब है, शुक्र खराब है.
क्योंकि एक तो कृष्ण जल्दी से खुश भी नहीं होते ना, प्लीज भी नहीं होते ना. भक्ति तो लंबा टाइम लेती है.
और हमारी भक्ति भी प्योर नहीं है. खैर वो सबसे बड़ी बात है, हमारी भक्ति भी
वो भी सही बात है. और लेती भी लंबा टाइम है ना.
प्रभु जी एक रियलाइजेशन तो हो गया. आई थिंक दैट आई हैव रियलाइज कि द मोर एंड मोर जितने दिन हम जुड़ते चले जाएंगे कृष्णा के साथ, थिंग्स विल बिकम इजियर. आई थिंक यू मेंशन्ड समवेयर कि कष्ट तो आते रहेंगे इन योर लाइफ, द इम्पेडिमेंट्स विल बी देयर, बट देन टू ईज दोज इम्पेडिमेंट्स, जो जैसे कहते हैं ना वो मर्सिडीज में बैठे हैं या नॉर्मल एक एम्बेसडर में बैठे हैं, तो वो जो उछाल कभी बम्पर आ जाता है तो हाउ इम्पैक्टफुल इट इज, कितनी जोर से लगता है. और कृष्णा के साथ जब रहते हैं तो कितने आराम से उसको पार करा देते हैं. ये डिफरेंस है.
ये पक्का है, पक्का है.
एग्री प्रभु जी, मैं भी ये महसूस कर रही हूँ.
एब्सोल्युटली राइट.
और माता जी अभी जो एक चीज बताया ना, बिल्कुल ये जो क्लियरनेस आ रही है ना चीजों में, आई थिंक इट्स जस्ट बिकॉज़ वी आर एसोसिएटेड विद इट.
ये सब प्रपद के पर्पस में सब कुछ दिया है. ऑल वी हैव टू रीड इट एवरी डे.
यस प्रभु जी, हर रोज क्लियरेंस है. हर रोज 30 मिनट्स बहुत क्लियर कर देता है चीजों को. जय श्रीला प्रभुपाद.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. So
Jai
we'll
Srila
stop here.
Prabhupada.
You all have a wonderful and safe day.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Prabhuji. Hare